Now to the latest on the migrant crisis. And many residents in Farnborough are utterly furious after an apartment block was taken over by the Home Office to house up to 300 male asylum seekers. The brand new block of flats, over 100 of them, was initially marketed as homes for rental at £1,400 each per month, but it's now been withdrawn from the market. And to discuss this further and to try and get to the bottom of this situation, I'm now joined by the leader of Rushmore Borough Council, Councillor Gareth Lyon. Councillor Lyon, thank you very much for joining us on GB News. So, first of all, I want to talk about the nature of which locals found out about this. It transpires, this story broke last night on GB News on the Nigel Farage show. Locals utterly flummoxed, utterly befuddled. They weren't consulted. They found out about it via the television, via GB News. How did we get to this situation?
Yes, and thank you for having me on the show, Martin. What I'd like to say first up is that Rushmore is proud to be a welcoming borough. Both Farnborough and Aldershot have residents from across the world who contribute to the life of our community. The problem with this Home Office plan, and they're not in place yet, it is still a Home Office scheme which they're looking to proceed with against our advice, is that it completely ignores the concerns of those residents and us, their councillors and our MP. So we as a local council still haven't got the full details from the Home Office about this. We've been working behind the scenes at great length to try and dissuade them from this. We think it's a bad idea, and we've made the case to the Home Office endlessly, but they do seem to be ignoring us.
OK, and Gareth, I spoke to some residents earlier, very, very angry about the fact that many people in the area can barely afford to buy a house themselves. Young people often actually being forced out of the area because property prices are high, rental prices are high, and so you can understand the frustration of the local residents when they see 300 people being given a brand new apartment with swanky kitchens, wooden floors, sliding doors, VIP apartments, totally free at the taxpayer's expense.
Yes, we are as frustrated as they are. We did not want the Home Office to put this proposal in there. We've made this very clear to them from the off. This is the wrong place for them to be putting that development. We've sent them multiple letters. Our Member of Parliament has said the same thing. And so we absolutely share those frustrations of our residents, and we share a frustration that we are being consistently ignored. We think it sends a terrible message that the Home Office and their officials think they know better than the local councillors. And we would encourage the Home Secretary to intervene in this personally, because we believe that us as local councillors, and indeed our Member of Parliament, are being ignored by Home Office officials.
And of course, Gareth, we must accept, whether we agree with the situation on the coast, on the Channel or not, asylum seekers have to be housed somewhere. We can't just put them onto the streets. What do you say to people who accuse you of NIMBYism?
We take our responsibilities very seriously as a Borough Council. We will make sure that we're maintaining services to our residents, and we will make sure that we're doing what we need to do to support anyone who comes into the borough. We already have a substantial development with asylum seekers just down the road on the way to Aldershot at Potters International. We are not NIMBYists. We're welcoming to people from around the world. What we're saying is right here on this site in the town centre, the Home Office has given no thought as to how that site's going to work. They've completely disregarded all the concerns that we've expressed as a council, and we encourage them to think again.
And Gareth, speaking to some local residents earlier on myself, a specific area of concern that they had, I'd like you to answer this, is it's directly opposite the Farnborough Technical College, is it not? And that is a college of 8,000 teenagers, a lot of whom are teenage young women, of course. In that sense, some of the people were saying to me they were concerned about issues potentially of safety. Do they have a point?
So it might be helpful for me to correct a point which was made earlier on, where you said this was going to be 300 men going into the development. What we understand from the Home Office is this is 300 people in families, so predominantly women and children going in there. So I think some of the concerns which I understand can be put at rest from that if we correct some of those facts.
Oh, well, that's good to know. I mean, again, but here we are finding this out by happenstance. None of this was communicated. If this had been communicated more effectively by the Home Office, perhaps this outcry wouldn't have happened in the first place. So that in fairness, may alleviate some of the concerns of the locals. And thank you for sharing that with us on GB News, because I don't think they'd have been told any other way. But
No.
nevertheless, it does return us back to that situation of the very real sense that people locally can't afford to live in a place like this. They can only dream of living in a place like this. And I spoke to one local earlier, a veteran whose daughter is in a council house, desperately trying to get upsized because they have more children, and there are massive waiting lists to get that accommodation. So you can understand how they feel when they see whoever it is put into brand new accommodation like this.
Yeah, we completely share those concerns. We are working very hard to meet our housing targets to make sure that we are able to provide more local homes. We know there are many people in the area who are looking for homes now, and this clearly isn't going to help taking 300 properties off the market. It is a problem, and you're right to say the Home Office haven't been communicating. Us, as the local council, we're still waiting for a lot of the details. We would love to be able to share far more information with our residents, but the Home Office haven't been forthcoming with us. And it's no wonder there's some misinformation and concerns getting out there, given what a poor job the Home Office have done, not just with the communications, but also, I'll go back to the core point, the sites they've chosen. They should not be putting this development on that site. And we've made this point very clear to them, and we would encourage them to think again. And I do hope the Home Secretary, who I know does listen to your programme, will take this message on board and will intervene personally to stop it.
Well, Gareth, you're a Conservative councillor. We know that the Conservative Party watch GB News. They're probably watching in Downing Street now. If you could say a direct message to them, Gareth, you've already said you'd like the Home Secretary to intervene. What would you like James Cleverly to do?
So, we know that the Home Office do need to find sites for asylum seekers, and we know that there will be opposition wherever they look around the country. The problem we have in a very densely populated borough of 2 towns, putting a site like this right in the middle of our town centre is going to cause substantial problems for us in terms of local services. It is going to exacerbate the housing challenges that we've got in the local area. There are many other areas, far more suitable sites away from town centres, which would be better able to deal with this. We would encourage the Home Secretary to get officials to look at those, to listen to the concerns, which we, the Council and our Member of Parliament, have been making many times over, and to put a stop to this scheme. There is still time.
And Gareth, thank you for coming on the show, because understandably, I guess you are getting some rather angry messages from constituents who feel very, very let down. And so you wanted to come on to GB News today to put your side across. And you've been very clear about the fact this is not about being bigoted. It's not about being unwelcoming. It's about the suitability of the site. And moreover, Councillor Lyon, it's about a total lack of consultation. Isn't that the problem? When people find out in the media, when people find out fresh details on live television, as we're doing now, they have every right to feel utterly contemptuous of a system which feels stacked against taxpayers, stacked against locals who find out in this shabby second-hand manner.
You're absolutely right. People have every right to be frustrated and annoyed about this. The Home Office has not been communicating. It's not been keeping anyone involved, and it's really not explained to us why it's disregarded our concerns. So yes, people should feel frustrated about this. People should get in touch with the Home Office. You're right, they have been in touch with us, and we are doing all we can. You're right, it's absolutely not about not wanting any particular group of people in the borough. We are a very welcoming borough. The point is, this site is not suitable to be used in this way. And we do wish the Home Office would pay attention to local councillors, pay attention to our awareness of local conditions and local concerns, and take those into account.
Yeah, it'd be great if they also listen to local residents. I want to thank you very much for coming on to GB News this afternoon to talk us through your perspective. And that's the leader of Rushmore Borough Council, Councillor Gareth Lyon. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. It's much, much appreciated. And now we do have a statement to read out from the Home Office, and a spokesperson said this to GB News. We have always been upfront about the unprecedented pressure being put on our asylum system, brought about by a significant increase in dangerous and illegal journeys into the country over recent years. And we continue to work across government and with local authorities to identify a range of accommodation options to reduce the unacceptable use of hotels, which costs £8 million a day. The government remains committed to engaging with local authorities and key stakeholders as part of this process.